Thank you. Again, welcome everyone and happy Advent season and Merry Christmas. We are almost there. I'd like to spend just a few seconds and introduce our new youth representative, Julia Stumler, and she's willing to tell us at least where she's from and a quick overview. So you've got the floor.
So, hi everyone. As she said, my name is Julia Stumler. I'm originally from Clark County, but I currently reside in Bloomington as a student. I am extremely excited to be here as a youth representative. I've done quite a bit of advocacy over the past couple of years, and I'm really excited to be here and share my voice and my input and work with all of you guys.
Welcome. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Did we find a replacement yet?
that is her. She's the
For-
replacement.
She took over for, okay,
Yes, yes.
but we got one others, right?
Yeah, we have another one too. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So next on the agenda is the minutes from the October meeting. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
to approve.
Second.
All opposed, say aye.
I'll oppose.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye. I'm messing with you this
I
morning.
know, luckily I got to switch.
The look on his face. Is all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, those are passed. And I'm very excited about this next part. We've been working so hard on it. We're going right to number 3, legislative affairs and engagement. Mark, are you ready?
I'll pop up here. Luckily, I don't have any slides for you this time. I know y'all like reading lots of policy slides early in the morning, right? But just want to give an update of where we're at. Again, at the last meeting, we set 2 mechanisms in place. One, a process for being able to engage in legislative affairs during session, and 2, a legislative engagement agenda, which would be activities that we're going to engage in to get the commission's name out there a little bit more to especially our legislative body. So with that, I'm going to go through just some of the legislative affairs items that came after we asked to vet at this meeting any items that we wanted to cover. But first, just a quick recap of items that are on our strategic plan. We also decided if it's written directly on our strategic plan, that's understood that that's one we will be able to engage in. And if we've gotten permission previously to do direct legislative action, such as introducing legislation, we'll do so on that. So at our last meeting, we were fortunate to have Judge Dowling come and talk about a human trafficking issue with Chin's 3.5 cases, specifically their ability to deny allegations or the weight of being able to deny or admit to an allegation that they were a victim is currently in statute. It's looking to remove that they do not have to admit or deny. As we know, many human trafficking victims, they are in a dubious status of either worried that they'll be admitting to a crime, or that they might not be aware of their situation as trafficking. And it's based more on that preponderance of evidence from the outside. Also, the ability to provide them with legal representation, whether there's an admit or deny or not. So that is a piece of legislation that was introduced in 2021 during a very busy session and did not get momentum. So we will be looking at reintroducing that in this coming session. I just got word that Senator Donato has got the preliminary draft rolling along. So that can start on the Senate side. And I think we have a couple of interested parties on the House side too, if we're able to get that through. So again, I'm just providing that as an example of one that already fits within our mechanic, but still reminding that I'm always going to come to you and talk to you about the ones we're directly engaged in, whether it's in the strategic plan or not. So that one looks like it'll be moving ahead as an introduced bill in the coming session. Any questions on that before I move to our next list? All right. So next is the list of items that are not directly spelled out in the strategic plan that we agreed at the December meeting we would vet before getting permission to engage with them during session. Note that everything on this list, this doesn't mean that we're introducing bills. This doesn't mean that we're taking lead on the issue or necessarily even testifying on the issue. It's just saying we have permission to monitor it closely and have it ready for further engagement if needed. That would still go through the executive committee vetting to make sure it's something that they agree with the approach that we're taking. And we would still talk to all affected agencies to make sure it was a match for agency needs as well. So we're not creating conflicts as we go forward. So I've got a short list there. These are the ones that came from commission members, and you definitely have a chance to provide others that you might want to have on there. But you can see early childhood mental health. We'll actually begin a presentation later today with Steve Awig, who's going to be heading up a subcommittee with our mental health task force about that. So you'll be getting more information on what that priority looks like and what it might look like if things come forward in session. We're not looking at directly introducing something there, but there might be something that comes along that we can support through testimony or other means. Suicide and bullying prevention. These are both ones the commission has definitely worked with heavily in the past. It's not directly listed on the strategic plan now, but we know it's always a priority when we talk about our young people, especially coming out of COVID. And we've got some young people that are still readjusting to all the social systems to go on in school. And unfortunately, that means some negative things happen too. So those are two for consideration there. Improving YRBS participation, that's that youth risk behavior survey. We'll also be hearing about that one today, but that collects a lot of those high risk behavior data points. Also things like mental health issues, suicidality, bullying, tobacco use, drug use, and a lot of other items that we'll get more on today. But being able to see if something comes along during session where we have the chance to speak in favor of proper data collection of that and what that data is used for and how it can be used to benefit the work of our agencies. That would be one that was brought forward as well. One specific one that might get to actually involving legislation, the Youth Justice Oversight Committee, which those that have been on this group for a while may know actually started through a subcommittee and some work groups related to the Children's Commission. So it's completed its final report, which its final report is misleading because that was the report that decided we've got a lot of implementation work to do. So they're now releasing grants across the state to try to put in place some good items for reducing recidivism for youth, improving some behavioral health services for youth, transitional services, and a lot of other good things. But we have noted, as we tend to do after legislation got passed last session with the grants, that we might need to add some new language to that to make it more effective. Specifically, the way it's written currently is that we're not allowed to do advance payments of the grants. So the YJOC's task, a lot of it focused on for our small counties and our counties without a lot of staff power to put behind things, making sure that they had the ability to access these funds and roll out some new programs. And as you can imagine, rolling out a new program takes funding up front sometimes. So we will probably be looking at a minor legislative tweak, but minor as far as legislation goes, but major as far as those counties goes, to say that money can be advanceable. So they have the ability to seed their program and get started without having to go to their county council and ask for $250,000 or so to get something off the ground, which again, for our small counties is not an easy lift. So that will be one example of something on this list that we might have some more direct engagement on. Next, increasing access to quality childcare. Childcare is a huge one right now. We're hardly the first people that puts it on their priority list. I know FSSA is doing a ton in this space right now. For example, about putting out some new grants, looking at some new programming, cooperative agreements with employers, but seeing if that's a space where we can at least be complementing those efforts. I don't know if we're looking at replacement efforts at this point, but complementing and being in support of what quality childcare, what quality early childhood education means for the families and the young persons that are involved in that level of care. So those are the ones that have come directly to be added onto the list there. Do we have any thoughts on those?
Yeah, I don't. No. Oh, okay. Yes, it is. I don't know if I dare say this, but is there anything or can we add to this something that deals with reducing unplanned teenage pregnancy or some kind of pregnancy prevention education for our teens?
So that's a good question. We do have some of that embedded within our strategic plan already. So we have the ability already to engage on those issues.
Okay,
So yes, that's something that we can engage on. And I know our legislators have already said that's a priority item. And when we look at the family resource centers and other things like that, that's high on the list to begin with. But yeah, that'd be an example of something that's in the strategic plan. So we would be interacting with it.
okay. And I missed what you spent the first couple of minutes talking about, that Senator Donato has a bill already being drafted. What was that exactly? I kind of went through that rather quickly.
Right. So that's for human trafficking.
Human
And
trafficking.
specifically fixing a part of the CHIN's 3.5 statute. This was introduced a few years ago during a busy session and just didn't get a hearing. But it makes it that they don't have to admit or deny to being a victim of human trafficking. And it allows an appointment of legal counsel for them regardless of admitting or denying to being a victim.
Okay,
So it just puts them front and center regardless of that fear that maybe if I admit, I'm admitting to do something criminal because maybe I've been groomed to be told I'd be arrested if I admitted, or they've been groomed in a direction where they don't feel they were a victim of human trafficking. And we have to look at the evidence instead of the testimony of the
say.
young person.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No problem. So that's why I have on those. More?
No. I just was going to ask for the motion to approve the issues if there's no more questions.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.
All right.
Very excited about this new legislative front.
Thank you, Senator Donato. This is maybe potential legislation, not for short term. But it's concerns I've raised over the last couple of years with respect to social media and children under 18. It would take some work, and I've followed some other states have proposed legislation. I think there may be legal challenges, so it would be a little bit of threading the needle, but it ties into childhood mental health. It ties into suicide prevention. It ties into bullying prevention. So at least perhaps our group, it may never result in legislation, but at least something to study and try to wrap our heads around. Would there be a way to address that issue?
Yeah. And I would say, because of course we can make this list as long as we want to, while we have the suicide prevention and the bullying prevention on that, and we have educational outcomes in other areas, I think we have enough places where that can be interacted with as an element that contributes.
Yeah, and that I don't know if the strategic plan directly addresses the social media aspect of those, but that might also just be something that's more of a administrative item. But
Mhm.
to the
Mhm.
extent we refine that, that would inform, I guess, some of your legislative advocacy.
Yeah. And I
Straight
think
away.
out of YRBS as well is where we can highlight some of those areas too. So yeah, I think we have a lot of places where that's in there. Where we're not necessarily looking at social media head on, here's the item that's to blame for everything, but we know it's a player in almost all these spaces. So I think that's important that we do acknowledge that for sure. All right.
Okay, we wanted to propose legislation engagement.
Okay, so legislative engagement, this is the area that I think we talked heavily about, and a lot of folks said this really needs to be the priority, is making sure that we're front and center at the State House and folks know what we're doing, what resource we can be, how we can interact with, yes, legislation, but also what we facilitate among state agencies at that level. So a few things that we've been able to get into there that one, I think we all agreed that we need to have direct note of introduction to all of our legislators. So we will be doing that, and we will be following up with that throughout session with, of course, trying to set a meeting with as many as we possibly can. So, and we'll be tracking that, how many we get response from, how many we get acknowledgement from, how many we're able to meet with. We will be meeting with the entire cohort. That's probably not likely, right? But we're going to do our best to get some dialogue going with everybody we possibly can. So again, and we'll follow up mid-session on that. We're going to make sure all legislators are on our email update list. We're also moving that email update. It has been every other month immediately after the commission meeting. We're going to move that to monthly because we have enough stuff that moves in between, especially as we get more engaged in other areas. Or if it's just a matter of hearing good programs where agencies are cooperating together and we want to broadcast that out, there's plenty of material to do that. And I think that's a good place for us to just keep our name front and center as well. I think we're almost locked down on the joint family and children committee meeting and reception on January 11th. I don't have a time on there yet. Representative Devon, I don't know if you have a time on that. The meeting on the 11th,
For the joint.
8:30.
8:30, bright and early. Okay. So, and that will have some of our materials and stuff there. There's more than just the Children's Commission coming there, but it'll be a good one to, again, get front and center with some of our most important legislators that work these issues regularly. Next on the list is one I'm particularly excited about. So we worked with a couple of different agencies that were looking at different projects. We talked about getting kind of a youth advocacy day where we get some young people down and get them exposed to legislative affairs and going around the State House meeting their legislator. We'd also annually are part of the State of the Child presentation that the Indiana Youth Institute puts on and support that. I'm happy to say that we were able to wed both of those events together. So on President's Day, which is a great day in my opinion, because I've always taken young people to the State House President's Day because they're off of school and our legislators are not off the job. So on that day, we'll have a youth advocacy day. McCoy, the Marion County Commission on Youth, is helping lead together, pulling together other youth serving organizations there and helping to recruit some young folks to be there on site and be a part of that. I've already recruited the young people in my household to be volunteers on that day as well. And we will have that State of the Child presentation in the House chamber. And they'll be 10:30 to 11:30 on that day. So there'll be programming throughout the day. The Children's Commission will be front and center, and we'll have young people visiting throughout the day where there's usually a good cluster of committee hearings. And then in the afternoon, House and Senate sessions. So we're really looking forward to that. That's example of one of those things that when we talk to our partners, it just came natural to say, boy, if we can bundle this together, what a great way to do that. And we do apply for a proclamation from the governor's office to proclaim that Day of the Child as well. So we'll have that. We'll have some press releases going out with it. We'll be really able to make that a focal point. Yes, it's not at the early end of session, but it is a great day to be able to get young people there and present and have that discussion. So that's a very exciting one. And with that, any other opportunities I don't have on this list that somebody would like to suggest?
I would just like to encourage the state agencies to also reach out to legislators and plan meetings. I'll be happy to help facilitate that, but it's incredibly important. I can remember as a new legislator, I went to FSSA and I said, I need FSSA 101. You have to explain to me what all this is. And it was very beneficial. And actually the next year I went back and I said, now I want 102. And I ask again. So just take that opportunity to reach out. It's so much easier when we understand where you're coming from. So I would just encourage you to do that.
Absolutely. And remember, as you're being good ambassadors, you do have little swag messenger bags behind you. Feel free to show those off a little bit too. Anywhere we can get our name is a good place to get our name, right?
Awesome. Yes. Gifts for Christmas. All right. If there's no other opportunities being announced, can we approve the legislative engagement agenda? Can I get a motion, please? In a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. It's
right.
approved as well.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So now we are up to our first presentation, Family and Youth Engagement Summit Recap, which if you've got the opportunity to watch in a bit, it was amazing those 2 days. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thanks, Senator Donato, and thanks everybody for being here and giving me the time to talk a little bit about our summit we had last weekend. So I think they said they might be watching online. So I want to say thanks to Dejana and Stephanie for helping us plan everything that they did to put this together. Like we talked about before, they planned all the content. They gave us all the tips and info, and we were just able to make it happen. So thanks to Mark, thanks to Aaron, thanks to all of our contributors, our speakers, our panelists. Thanks to Casey Family Programs for funding that and making that possible. Thanks to CMC Global for being our tech people and getting everything working there. And then thanks to anybody else that I'm probably forgetting right now. So it was a great event, and I'm going to have a little bit of the stuff that we talked about and some statistics about some registration and attendance. So our theme was unmuting your authenticity. And there's no better way to describe what the 2 days were like than authentic. We had some speakers and some panelists that really showed us some skills and some strategies to be your authentic self, whether that be us as professionals or as members of our community trying to advocate for them and people like them. So authentic was the theme of both days, and authentic was what I can say, in my opinion, is what happened. A little bit about some statistics. So we had 127 people that registered, and 105 of them joined the event live. And a little note there, online conference participation is typically between 40 and 60% of the people who register. So our 83% with that number would be considered excellent attendance for the people who actually signed up to be there. You can see on your packets and on the screen, there's a little breakdown about, what people were coming from, some of our registration fields. So we had, 20 judicial employees, 24 executive employees, 4 legislators, 5 students, 12 parents, and 17 people with lived experience in one of those systems. 33 nonprofit employees, and then 22 volunteers. A note, a quarter of all the registrants and 2/3 of those with lived experience all had multiple identifiers. So we had people that kind of, just with the whole scope of what we asked for, many people had multiple identifiers for the group. Some popularities for some of our panels here. I'll go through some of the things. So kind of just a recap of day one. This was our second most watched event, was our day one keynote from Kayla. It's a little bit small on the screen, but on your packet, you can maybe see if you were watching live and recognize Kayla from her first speech. She gave 7 tips of how to be an authentic professional, and then recapped with 2 small things daily that we can do to be our authentic selves. And that was the second most watched sort of speaker panel. The first most watched panel was our parents and families panel, and that is on this side. It is in the top right picture. We had Monica from DCS coming, and with the DCS Birth Parent Advisory Board. That was our most watched panel, and it was kind of cool because that was the biggest emphasis from Dejana and Stephanie that they wanted to have at this event, was a space for parents to talk about their experience with systems and how we as parents can model an existing group that's doing well with integrating their voice. So it was really cool that was our most attended session. And I know they were very proud to do that. If you look at the other 2 screens, you'll probably recognize some people if you're watching. Aaron's on there, Dejana's on there in the top left. And we had in the top left there was our youth with lived experience panel. And then the middle bottom, we had our authentic professionals. So both of them kind of shared the 2 sides of the same coin, like what our young adults and youth need from professionals to feel like they can advocate for themselves, and then what the professionals can do on the other hand to make them feel better. The youth with experience was our third most watched panel, and then a little honorable mention here on day 2, which was Saturday, our legislator panel, which you can see in the bottom left. You'll recognize some of those faces. We have them here today. That was our most watched event on day 2. So that's a little shout out there to our legislators. We really appreciate you coming, and that had great feedback initially from the summit. So of all the things, of those 4 things happened on day 2, that was the most attended. Our top left, we had Maida, our keynote speaker. Top right, we have Ali and Ash. They were talking with me about what their advocacy journeys entailed. And then the bottom right, we had some opportunities for our people to unmute themselves. Keep going. So just looking forward, next year, we're looking at a webinar series of multiple days to try and, keep the attendance options open for people. We've already kind of talked with Casey Family Programs about what that might entail. And we're definitely going to rely on our youth representatives to help us with that again, just like we did this year. We found that, super helpful and beneficial for everybody that attended. They kind of gave us a couple points to look at moving forward. To identify additional opportunities for lived experience experts to participate in commission activities. That's obviously something that we're always working on and is in our strategic plan. So they'll help fund some of the ideas there. We're going to explore the possibility of getting parent representation on this group. That's kind of something we talked about, I think, earlier this year, that we're always exploring how we're going to do that. We want to develop opportunities for lived experience experts to learn about policy development and that process, which we have going on with our engagement days coming up soon. We'll maybe develop a training series for legislative stakeholders that might be co-led by our lived experience panelists that we were able to network with. Obviously, we'll continue to compensate our lived experience experts for their time and contributions to all of our projects. And we'll obviously submit our progress and things to Casey as they keep funding these projects forward. So There'll be a survey going out. I'm sure if we can get that set up, we'll send that out to all of you who were in attendance and anyone else to hopefully give us great feedback on what we can do moving forward, what went well that we want to keep. This is obviously our cohort and Mark and I's first time doing something like this, and everyone here was present for maybe the previous summit, but this was our first one. So we're looking open to feedback on that. And just the final note I have is the same link, and it's all over our website, and I'll have Mark send it again in the post-meeting dispatch, but the same link that we use to watch that live, you can go there and watch a recording of any of the sessions. So if you weren't able to join or something, please go check out the recordings and see maybe something that you missed, or there'll be something to learn there. So I'll pass to Julia to kind of share a little bit about her role in the day and any thoughts or feedback she might have for us.
Yeah, I had an excellent time mediating the panel between unmuting with legislators. We had, I believe, 3 plus Mark who were involved in that meeting. I felt like the legislators gave really thoughtful answers. It was really a way to like connect, and it was a little bit more informal than I feel like a lot of us are used to, which was really nice hearing about, winter hobbies, plus some legislative changes that they're interested in and all of that. It was a little bit stressful using Crowdcast for the first time, but Blaine was a rock star with helping everyone out with that. And there was no tech issues or anything. And so it was a really good experience overall. It was my first summit. It was a great way to just start my engagement, my first meeting and everything. And I really appreciated all of the feedback and everything that was given.
Thanks, Julia. Ali, I know you just got here, but I'm gonna throw you on the spot. If you have anything to say about the summit, we really appreciate all your contributions to it, for being on a panel and, spending the days with us. So if you have anything to say or any questions for us, please fire away.
Yeah, no, I thought it went really well. I was happy to be a part of it, and I think the panels were really informative, especially coming from people that were in those places. I thought that the talk with our legislators was also very interesting, so I'd like to see that next year.
Cool. Thanks. So yeah, like I said, we'll be sending a survey out. Please, be honest in the feedback on that. We're looking to, keep growing this thing every year and get this moving forward. So, and then again, access the same stuff. It's all over our website. We'll push it out. Please watch the recordings if you weren't able to join. Thanks. Any questions for me?
Blaine?
Yeah.
Sorry. Madam Chairman. How many years have we done this? Have we done it every year?
I think this
I think this is our second one.
So what's the possibility of doing it live? Or do you think we would not have as many participation?
Like in person?
Yeah.
I think the reason why they, especially Steph and Day, said to do it virtually is just because if we want to truly pump this out statewide, to have it here would be limiting to people just in, this area. But maybe we could, if we're going to look at maybe multiple different things, we have parts of it that are in person, parts of it that are live. If you can have the option to come to both, we can explore that. But yeah,
More expensive too, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think we looked at, an example would be with the State House Day, the way it planned. We can look at maybe we have a webinar series that builds up to an in-person event, something along that line, which I think is kind of what we're trying to target for this next year. As we move that forward and we grow that lived experience group that really wants to be an active part of what we do. So, because we know we're going to need that level of participation at some point. So we are trying to at least sample into both ends of it. But it's tough to get statewide participation, especially from our young adults and family members, without having some of it be at least a virtual option.
Once again, thank you to all of the youth. It was a great presentation, and I'm really excited I can go back and get the part that I missed.
Yeah.
So that's great. So it is on the commission website, correct?
Yep, on the
All right.
website, the same link that we use to watch live. You can watch the recordings on there.
All right, great. Thank you. Great work. And I look forward to next year.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to risk behavior survey presentation by Dr. Weber. Oh, and Kate started. Just read the first one.
I'm not as tall as Blaine. All right. Thank you so much for having us here today. I was here about a year and a half ago when the 2021 YRBS data was hot off the presses. You were one of the first group of people that was able to hear this. And so we're back today just to give you a refresher on the process. And we don't have any updates on 2023 data, but hopefully it will come soon. So I always like to ground everyone in the basics around the YRBS or Youth Risk Behavior Survey. I personally do this day in and day out, so I like to take a step back so everyone speaks the same language. This is a CDC survey that started back in 1990. It's conducted in collaboration with states nationwide. So for us here in Indiana, the Department of Health Maternal and Child Health team is the one that conducts the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. You can see this map here in the bottom corner of all the states in dark purple participate and had weighted data, so enough participation in 2021. If you go back to 2019, every state that participated was the same except Indiana and Delaware were the only two states that didn't have enough participation. So we are excited we have that from 2021. This survey collects information on students in high school, so grades 9 through 12, their demographic information, anything about youth health behaviors and conditions, substance use behaviors, and student experiences. Really, the survey is designed to determine, one, what unhealthy behaviors are happening. And as you see this over time and every other year, you can see how they change over time. We use that data that we have here in Indiana. We can compare it with the National Youth Risk Behavior Survey to see how we stack up against other states and how we can compare different groups of adolescents. They break that down by race, ethnicity, gender, grade, you name it. And so what helps us is just to understand the progression of youth health over time. And so if there's something that we should be concerned about, it allows us as a state to identify emerging issues and plan programs that help support health of our youth. So, you know the data, we're really excited. What we learned in 2021 is this data has been used very far and wide. Some of the graphics here, I just pulled after a quick Google search of Youth Risk Behavior Survey Indiana. We have shared this with schools, universities, healthcare organizations, nonprofits, local health departments, coalitions, and other state agencies. You've heard from me, you've heard from the Indiana Youth Institute, you've seen it in the Kid Count data book, front and center. I probably present on this on average about once a week. So in the last year, been busy about 40, 45 presentations. People want to hear this data. And so you all know the data, but just something that was front and center throughout 2021 was this slide, our statistics on mental health and suicide ideation. And so this has been used most often. And what you have seen is that top bar in light blue. That's the Indiana data, but you haven't seen it compared to a national data set. And that's the dark blue on the bottom. So a reminder, around 30.7% of students reported poor mental health. 46%, almost 47, said they were so sad they stopped participating in regular activities for 2 weeks straight. 27% considered attempting suicide seriously. 22% of those made a plan for how they would attempt suicide, and 11.8% of our youth attempted suicide. And you can see if you look at the United States, we are higher than the United States average in every single one of those questions.
How many were successful?
I'm sorry.
How many were successful in actually completing the act of suicide?
That's I don't have that statistic.
So we have that data, we have that data in another report. So remember, this is just questions about to the survey, to the students.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, I mean, if the students were asked that, right. Yeah, right.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true. You can't,
right.
you can't
I just wanna make sure I
respond.
Understood. That's all, yeah.
You can't respond if you're
Shut
not
up,
there.
John.
I can-
Don't highlight my ignorance.
I mean, it's something that happened after the survey.
Right.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, but.
no, I thought they tracked
Yeah.
that.
I think that
understand.
particular statistic stood out to many people, and we pretty frequently get questions that seems high, and we agree that is high and it's alarming. I think something to keep in mind there, that students who attempted suicide looks different, right? Maybe they took a couple extra ibuprofen and that was their attempt, right? So not all of these kids are necessarily presenting to the emergency department, or maybe their parents don't even know, but they're answering this, that in their mind, they didn't make an attempt. If that just kind of helps wrap your mind around that particular question.
Can I ask a question as well?
Mhm.
How much participation do you get from these students? Is it easy to get it? Is it difficult to get it?
We're gonna get there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And so the one other thing I really wanted to mention out of that data set are two things. For social connectedness, we had just 54% of our youth say that they feel close to people at their school. And just 50% of students said they have a friend that they can talk to about their feelings. And so I want to draw your attention to this report on the right that came out from the Surgeon General in 2023 on an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. This is important as students took this in 2021, about a year into the pandemic. And so you're seeing that here. We don't have national data to compare that to because these are new questions that came out in 2021. And so hopefully these are also going to be in the national survey so we can see how we compare. The other statistic I want to share is 78.6% of youth, so nearly 86, 4 in every 5 youth are spending 3 or more hours a day on their phone, in addition to being on a device for schoolwork. So this is just personal use. And so to your point earlier in this discussion, another report coming out of the Surgeon General's office around social media and youth mental health. So both important topics, both important for us to pay attention to here in the state of Indiana. Okay, so I'm going to get back into the process, to your point. The administration is conducted by the Indiana Department of Health. We administer this survey on odd numbered years between January and April. So we administered that this year in 2023, are still waiting to hear if we have our data back. So as you can see, the next YRBS is in January of 2025. We will know what schools are selected to take that in the fall of 2024. All public high schools are eligible to take the survey, and I'll talk a little bit about those 110 schools in just a moment who are selected. And then the survey is 99 questions long. And just so you know, about 2/3 of those questions are already selected by the CDC. So those are ones that all states take, and that gives us that comparison of national data. This is completed in one class period, and answers from our students are completely anonymous. There's no way to identify them. And so as we go through the process, what we do is we send a sampling frame of all of our Indiana public high schools to the CDC. We couldn't do that without the Department of Education, who gives us all of the information. And then from that, the CDC selects our schools. So they select 50 schools to take the youth risk behavior survey and another 60 schools that take the youth tobacco survey, which is also conducted at the Department of Health through our youth or our tobacco prevention team. And so that way each school is only selected for one survey or the other in any given academic year. We are not asking them to take more than one survey. Bless you. And then from there, it's important to note that for both of these surveys, not every student in the school takes a survey. We just survey between 1 to 6 classrooms, just one period, just one day in a semester. So we are in and out in a relatively painless fashion. And I'm going to walk through the process that our team goes through. All to say, I could not do this without Samantha Munt, who is here today, who did the YRBS administration in 2023. When I talk about that sampling frame, that's again, we send all of our public schools to the CDC. The CDC selects our schools and sends us back the list. And then we confirm, are the schools still open and able to take the survey and eligible? From there, we start our outreach. That means phone calls, that means emails. We are reaching out to get clearance. We reach out in October to notify superintendents, hey, you've got 2 or 3 schools in your district that were selected. They are going to be asked to take the YRBS. Once they give us approval, we then in November and December continue to reach out to school principals and let them know, and we could follow up with them until they select a date for the survey. From there, we do a lot behind the scenes to get ready for the school. What we do is we get second period class lists. That means every student in every school should be eligible to take the survey. And then we use a process called random number selection that's already set forward by the CDC to go through and select either one class, 2 classes, 3, 4, 5, 6, you name it. And then we communicate with the school these classes were selected. From there, we send a parental consent form that goes home with every student in every class to say the YRBS is coming. You are able to sign it if you do not want your student to participate. Then we get to administration. And so on any day for administration, our team gets in our cars and we drive around the state and go to schools. And that takes a whole group of 20 people to do this every year. And so we go to the school, we check in at the front desk, we get to our classrooms, we read the student consent form, we distribute a paper and pencil version of the survey, we collect it. We give students a resource card. So if they want to know about resources like 211 or how to connect to food if they don't have food security or how to call 988, that's all on a resource that they can check later. And then if there are students that are missing from that class, we go back to the school and make up the survey. If students are sick, if they're on a field trip, if there are significant amount of students who weren't there the day of the survey. And then lastly, post-administration, there's a lot behind the scenes that happens after the survey. We do reward schools $500 just to participate. We collect all the data and keep it organized. We have to fill out some forms to send to the CDC. And then we wait anywhere from 16 to 20 weeks to find out if we get our data and then get that back. And as soon as we do, we share that. We put that together in nice presentations for anyone who wants that to have and to share. So sounds easy, right? It's not. At any given point in time, there are roadblocks to getting this data. First and foremost, there could be, a chance that the school was open in the fall and then it's not in the spring when we go to administer. They could have merged with a local high school nearby. It's not open. We lose a school. We could reach out to superintendents that have 4 schools selected and they could say, we're not going to take the survey this year. That means all 4 of those schools can't take the survey. The superintendent could say yes, and the principal says, I don't want to make time for that this year, or I can't give up class time. There's so many reasons, but we could get a no from the principal. Another scenario is the principal could say yes, but getting us all the classes and the number of students is just too difficult. So we might ask again, and then they'll say, you know what, I don't have time, and we can't do this. We get classes randomly selected. Some schools say, we would love to do this in our health classes. We have no say in that. So if the student or classes selected are a math class, an English class, a science class, and the school says, we can't give up that time because we don't want students to fall behind, that means we don't administer at that school. We send parent consent forms home. If the parent says, I don't want my student to participate, we respect that. We can't survey that student. Sometimes we drive to a school and it's a snow day, surprise, it's a virtual learning day. That means we have to make up a date. We have to go back. We have to drive 3 hours again. It happens more than you think. On the flip side, again, students can say, I don't want to answer those questions and I don't want to participate. Someone said, I'd rather play on my phone during this than take it. And they did. That means that student doesn't participate. That's one more person that doesn't take the survey. And then lastly, sometimes we ask schools to make up surveys. There's 10 students out that day and they say, we just can't give you another day. We can't do that. And so we pull on every single resource to make sure we get to weighted data. But those red X's show every point in the process that can be very difficult to get to that. And so why is it important to get to weighted data? What that means is we can only get data if enough schools and enough students take the survey. That means if we have enough participation, the data that we get from the survey can be representative of the whole entire youth population, grades 9 through 12 across the state of Indiana. And you can see on this graphic here, in the last decade, we have only had weighted data twice in Indiana. We use every possible way and every possible connection and every possible means to get this done because we know the commission and our partners depend on this data. We know it's important. We know it informs a lot of our work. And so we do everything that we can. But at the end of the day, if a school says no or a superintendent says no, we don't get a replacement school. And so the reasons vary. I've mentioned some of them. We don't want to miss class time. We don't want students to fall behind. I don't like the survey questions. There are so many policies in place that prevent us from doing this. but we are anxiously awaiting 2023 data. We should find out within the next month if we were able to get to weighted data. We know how valuable it is, and we just wanted to share the process. Just so you know, the Department of Health exhausts every single resource to get this important data to you. And that is all I have for you. Thank you. Yes.
Oh my God. That's a lot. And it seems to me that there has to be a way, Dr. Weaver, that we could impress upon the higher ups over the superintendents, maybe, the importance of the data to try to get you guys some help in opening up doors for what you need. It seems like there should be something we could do to make it easier for you to get data to help kids. And superintendents and principals should not be blocking your way to help their children. So I just wanted to put that out there. I think that we all could figure out a way to kind of help them, because it seems like you're doing what's best. And I saw you running around, complete know what was going on, but it seems to be that we should be able to help you come up with another mechanism if we go top down and talk to the school boards and I don't know who to talk to, but there's got to be somebody that can impress upon the superintendents and the principals that this is important because it helps in the long run for your kids. So I don't think you need to work that hard. That's just me.
It would be great.
Yeah, I mean that's just me. I know. It just seems like we should be able to come up with something.
Senator Bro, you have a question or comment?
Can you speak to some of the consequences to us as a state for not getting this weighted data, or for only having it twice in a decade? What are the consequences to us as a state?
Yeah, I just, in preparing for this, I read a statistic that a state who had their weighted data consistently and could very clearly identify needs in the state won $11 million in federal grants.
Oh, wow.
So having this data lets us, one, know what's going on, and two, do something about it. And so when we're one of the two states that didn't get enough participation in 2019, it impacts what we can do for funding.
And you're leaving money on the table.
Correct.
One question, if I can piggyback off of that, you said we were one of two states.
Mhm.
Are there other states that are as inconsistent with getting weighted data as us, or are we kind of an island?
I don't know if I know that. I know that Samantha and I meet with other states on a monthly basis to talk through the process and where we are. And I know there are struggles. I know there are states that have never struggled before that now are, because there might be a parent group that doesn't want this done, or there might be legislation that makes it harder. But rather consistently, we're one of the few.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Representative Brown.
Have you reached out to the DOE at all, or Dr. Jenner?
We do reach out to the Department of Education, and Dr. Weaver and the Children's Commission and Dr. Jenner sign a joint letter of support. Whether or not schools read that, I'm unsure.
Is anybody from the DOE here today? Because I know Dr. Jenner's, I don't think she's here, is she? So, and I know she hasn't been quite a bit, so it'd be great to have her more involvement, or somebody from her department to be more involved.
One last question.
Go ahead.
I remember, because I know I worked on this, and I was asked to kind of pull mine because the governor was trying to get all schools, not just those selected by the CDC, but all schools to participate in the YVRS survey. I don't recall what happened to that.
It didn't go through.
It
But
didn't go
yeah,
through,
that was a
okay.
little bit before my time. But yes, that was a request to try to get weighted data across the entire state. That's correct.
All right. Ally, you have a question as well?
I know you said that sometimes there aren't enough students to show up to take this survey. I'm trying to think back if I've taken this myself, and I probably have, but is there not a way to administer this online?
Great question.
Well, we are in 2023 and we still take that paper and pencil Scantron version. There are some states that have moved to online administration, but what that requires is that every school and every student has a laptop that they can take it on or a tablet, and that's not in Indiana quite yet. Mhm. Yes.
And then I also just have like a comment on this. Like I think that this situation holds a lot of gravity and higher than just like state funding or higher than just, getting the outcomes and the statistics. I think that these statistics are necessary, especially as a young person representing my demographic, and with a youth and lived experience. Like so many individuals are struggling with mental health at our age, and that can be exacerbated by social media or just, the consistent recognition of it. But even just, taking a couple of extra ibuprofen, and that's a serious situation. And I think it's more than just, state funding or why we should be doing this. We should be caring about our youth mental health.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Senator. I don't mean to be controversial with this question. I guess it's not possible to enable private schools to opt in to survey responses.
It's a good question. We've always done just public schools, and I have just perpetuated that. So I'm happy to ask the CDC as to why. Yeah, of course.
I thought of that when they said it as well, but I figured state dollars, state funding, state reports. So.
But do other states do it too? So
That-
that's
yeah,
the
that'd be worth the
So
question to
if
find
it's
out.
Yeah.
consistent across the state.
Yeah,
nation.
I know that other states do want public schools as well.
Okay.
And I don't know
Okay.
the reason for that.
I would assume state dollars, state funding, state reporting. Is this report connected to the DOE dashboard at all, or is it only on?
I don't know about it being connected to the DOE dashboard.
Okay,
It is on the Department of Health's website.
right.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if it would be worth the question
Sure.
before you sign the next agreement in 25,
Mhm.
if it could be displayed on the DOE dashboard. Because that's where a parent of a child could particularly find it faster maybe and know that it's there.
Mhm.
Just a suggestion to at least ask that
We can talk to
question.
the Department of Education.
I think the tough thing there is, I agree with you that it should be projected everywhere it should, is that there's data for every school on there. And I think in this instance, we only have a select number of schools and then even students within that school.
Right.
I think it's a great point. I know you guys work very collaboratively with DOE on that, so.
Right, yeah, it's statewide data, so
yeah.
it would be a standalone statewide information.
Right. Thank you, though. I appreciate that.
I mean-
It would be
Yep.
really cool if we.
I know
could
it's
do that
not
by
us
school.
now, yeah. just as far
You
as performance,
participated.
Educational performance data, but I know what
Yes.
you mean, because that's.
An
highly
easier
visited
touch
site.
point. Yeah, easier touch point for parents.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
One more. $500 incentive. Would there be any benefit? Does that move the needle at all? Oh, I'm gonna get $500 to my school. And would there be any benefit to maybe the state matching that or triple matching that or something? Would that help in some of these instances where schools don't want to participate? Does money talk?
I was gonna say, it definitely is an incentive for some schools more than others, depending on the size of the school and how they choose to use it. I can think of a very clear example of a school last year that said, hey, the superintendent said to the school principal, you take this survey, you get this money, you can buy these things to support mental health resources in your school. And they said, great, we're in. So for some schools, yes, for others, maybe it's not worth their time. But what is very important to schools to know, and I think is a common misperception, is that we need every single student in every single classroom on multiple days to take the survey. When the reality is we go into a school and survey 50 students, one period, one day over the whole semester, and we're in and out. And so it is a relatively easy lift if we can get schools to acknowledge it's just a small group of students.
What are some of the reasons they, I know you said we don't want to take the time. Do some of them just fundamentally oppose the questioning of students? You know, because I know we asked, have you had a sexual partner? Do you consider yourself gay or straight? Or I know we asked those kinds of questions. Is that a problem for some of these schools?
Let's say maybe the questions are a problem for about one school out of 50 every year. That's about it. I don't think we have enough time in the day for me to tell you what I've heard from schools, but you know, it varies. It can be, we don't have a policy in our school district. We have to have our school board approve it, and we don't have time to do that. We have more important things to do. We have schools that say, we want our data back for our school, and the YRBS doesn't offer that. We offer a statewide data point. And
Well,
so it might not be relevant to that school. So I had a couple of schools this year that said,
And this
doesn't
really
matter.
is my last question. Is there any, if we were to next year in the budget cycle, put some kind of a reimbursement or something that if you're a school and you do this, you get not only the CDC, but the state will give you an additional such and such that you can get reimbursed for participation. Would something like that help?
I mean, I think as far as legislation goes, we'll leave that up to you guys. We're doing everything at our point. I mean, to the point where I personally called and we'll continue superintendents or principals if they have questions, and we're open to any and all suggestions.
Let me know how much money helps.
Okay. I think again, like she said, it probably depends on the school, but we appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would say serving on the education committee for about 8 years, and I know the teachers, principals, they got tired of everything being one more thing, right? That one more requirement. And so I know it gets burdensome for them, and they get a lot of requirements asked to them. So I think any way we can do to make it easier through like you said, the internet, right? Or online, there's got to be a better way for them to make it a little bit more accessible. So I don't know, just thinking if other states are doing it, we should be able to implement it.
I definitely agree with the internet.
so even if we did it online, we'd have to be physically in the school while students actually took it in a classroom. Yeah.
It just might speed it up because they don't write much anymore. It might speed it up and it might get better.
I was surprised students don't know what a Scantron form is or how to fill it in. I'm really not a youth anymore, so.
Welcome to the club.
Well, thank you, ladies. And I honestly think everybody's going to kind of think on this to see if we can't get you some solution. My first thought is, are you meeting when the superintendents have their day down here? Are you meeting with them and talking through and letting them know how important it is? No, maybe just getting in the room with them, the school board association, the principals association, just making it part of their convention when they're down here to say how important this is and what it's used for. That might help as well. Education. Thank you very much, ladies. I appreciate the update. All right, moving on to the task force updates. Children and Health and Safety Task Force.
Okay, it's me. Yay, I'm back. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to put on a different hat as a co-chair of the Health and Safety Task Force. My name is Kate Shadle. I work at the Department of Health, and my co-chair is Sonia Rush, who works for DCS. And I'm just so honored to be here. I was appointed 2+ years ago. I can't even believe it. We have a wealth of members, and I'm not going to mention them. They're here on the slide. But we have a lot of very active participants, from the best and brightest people that are committed to improving the health and safety of our youth. If I missed your name, I apologize. We have a lot of ebb and flow. So as people have more time and more capacity, they might jump on and jump back in. And just have been very grateful to have a lot of active members from various state agencies, from hospital networks, from nonprofits, from universities. It's been a really nice partnership. We are the task force that falls under strategic goal number 1 in the new strategic plan, and that's to improve the health and safety of vulnerable children and youth. And we are tasked with 5 objectives: increasing community-based social and concrete support for families with children, including those being cared for informally by relatives; increasing housing stability for families and children; recommending ways to increase the power and voice of children in state care, identifying and encouraging adoption of effective and promising models for promoting healthy teen relationships, preventing unplanned pregnancies, and reducing sexual victimization of adolescents, and increasing access to early intervention for vulnerable young children. So as you can see, y'all have tasked us with the solving world peace in this task force. I'm just kidding. What I will say honestly is that I really appreciate that the whole task force feels these are big and broad objectives that allows the expertise of any given member in our task force to really focus in and hone on something that they feel passionate about and they're an expert in. And that gives us the flexibility of working at multiple points across these objectives at any given point in time. And so some of the 2023 highlights coming out of our group are, we started off January of 2023 with a presentation from Data Ames on the early childhood needs assessments. That was a project that the Department of Health was able to start. We heard from Preventing Child Abuse Indiana back in 2022, actually on a toolkit for preventing child abuse and neglect. And in 2023, they worked to pilot that, I think throughout 6 to 8 counties in the state. We heard from Dr. Jack Turman Jr. around infant mortality and housing and how housing really impacts birth outcomes and children health outcomes for families. He's part of the Grassroots Leaders Initiative as well. We heard from the villages that same day of all the things they're doing to support our kinship caregivers around the state, whether or not they're registered as a foster family and can still enjoy some of those benefits and help get those kiddos into school with CCDF vouchers and various things like that. And then, of course, you've heard from me and the Youth Risk Behavior Survey data today. Looking forward to 2023, we are shifting and adapting to this new strategic plan. That's been a big switch back in this year, at the last 6 months of this year. And so we had a strategic planning day. We talked around expertise in our committee. We've recruited some new members. So we're going to be continuing some of the work that we started in the last year, but starting some new work in our other objectives. We are always recruiting new members, new subject matter experts. As new ones come and go, we like to make sure we're getting the right people in and contributing to some of these objectives. We're also looking at long-term impact. I feel like Mark is just this perfect fit for the role because of the policy piece. That's not something I know well, and it's not something all of us that work in state government know well. So how can we make our work turn into policies that maybe create this long-term impact for our kids and families? And then I think the other part that our task force always loves doing is just continuing to increase awareness of the work that we're doing and the work that's going on in the state, sort of promoting and amplifying that, and just making sure the right people know about all the great things the commission is doing. So thank you very much for having me today and having me as your co-chair on this.
Thank you very much, twice. Any questions or comments before she leaves? Okay, thank you so much. All right, so the next one is on Zoom. They're telling me. Brianne, are you there for the Educational Outcome Task Force?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Super. I'm very sorry to not be there in person today. We have an all-agency meeting. I work for the Department of Workforce Development. My other co-chair, Michelle Clark, with the Department of Education, is in New Orleans, so she's having a much better time than all of us at a training, a national training. So thank you again for giving us the opportunity to just kind of share some of the things that we have worked on this year, and some of the things that we are looking for help and in the next year, and looking for kind of as Kate did, a what's next. So if we can go to the next slide. Please, thank you. So this is just kind of I'm certain that as commission members, you're all very familiar with the goals that we have in the strategic plan. We like to share this with our committee to just sort of ground our work every meeting, to talk about why we're here and what we do. And so I just kind of included these as just a friendly reminder. We will talk a little bit about, when I go to the next slide here in just a second, about the things that we've accomplished this year, and sort of how they relate back to the goals. So now you can go to the next slide. Thank you. What we did is we pulled out some of our highlights of meetings. I will say that this was not a year that we had a lot of legislative priorities or impacted in that regard. Although we did have one thing that did come from our group that is a huge benefit to students in our population. So what we've been trying to do is sort of recenter and reset our meetings with, again, focusing in on what is best for our vulnerable population through the different state agencies and other programs that we either oversee or connect with. So we had some members from the Department of Corrections come and talk about the juvenile transition process. I know in the workforce development space, we are really proud of that partnership that we have with the Department of Corrections, so that when students exit, they either return to school or they return to a workforce or a Work One center is what we call them. And so just really talking about that process, so it is not a goodbye when kids leave, but they really are setting students up now for success much earlier on when they're in facilities, so that they can transition on to employment or education after they leave. The really big win, I think, for our group was the Commission for Higher Education's partnership and the 21st Century Auto Enrollment. Had some really great results, I believe. I can't remember if it was shared at our SISC meeting or an education outcomes task force meeting, but about the full number of students now who have been impacted by that auto enrollment since October. And it's, in the 40,000s of new students who have been enrolled just through that legislated auto enrollment process. And so that is a really huge thing for our student groups, both in the students who are served through 21st Century Scholars, but across all of the different agencies that partner with us, but then, most especially students who are in the foster care system. Another really wonderful thing, we had some folks come from Bartholomew County, so trying to bring in some of that local voice, talking a little bit about the Resiliency Through Strengths survey model. So some of the results that they found from their students, but then how that kind of informs their local policy and practices and programming in the Bartholomew Consolidated School Corporation. And then, of course, this was a really large legislative season here for the Department of Education. So we had many briefings on that, I'm sure, as Mark can attest. And then the final two things are really just some highlighted programs, one through Foster Success with the Pathways and Catalyst programs, which are, as related to our goal, very heavily focused on post-secondary education. And so ensuring that our students, again, especially those in foster care, have some additional resources and tools in their tool belt to help them be successful when they leave high school. And then very dear and near to my heart, early on in the year, we presented a little update on the Jobs for America's Graduates program. I know there are some of you in the room who are very familiar with our planned expansion. And so we are looking for new schools, to continue to help us, again, advance the mission for students both in foster care, but other marginalized populations for post-secondary and workforce success. And then Blaine, I think if you can go to the last slide here. My last little bit is just a more of a how you can help. We will say very honestly in our group, we are really struggling with goal number one, which is a sort of a focus on early childhood. And so looking to continue growing membership and voice for agencies and organizations that support that mission and can really help us focus in on how to support kids and families at a much earlier age. And then certainly the next two things are sort of just spreading the word about all the great things that some of our partner groups are doing, including Foster Success, and then the things that we're doing with the JAG model. One of our other strategic goals is supporting mental health and trauma-informed programming. That is especially important when it comes to the legislative session. I know that we've got coming up, again, ensuring that mental health access and trauma-informed programming and schools and classes and resources are available to our students, especially while they're in school. And then just kind of sharing, other promising practices with other co-chairs, which is really wonderful that Mark has been gathering us together so that we can network and meet more frequently to talk through some of the needs that we all have. But I think that is it for me. So again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you very much. Very informative. Does anyone have any comments or questions? All right. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Moving on to Juvenile Justice and Cross System Youth Task Force. Welcome, ladies. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to share some information as well as the current status of activities of the Juvenile Justice and Cross System Youth Task Force. My name is Nancy Weaver, and I serve as the Director of Youth Justice and the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative at the Indiana Office of Court Services. But I'm here today in my role as co-chair of this task force with Judge Carmichael. This slide is for your information, similar to the groups that have come before us. We wanted to let you know who serves on the task force, highlighting the wide range of roles and perspectives that we are fortunate to have. We did add new members this year and allowed former members the option to retire or opt out if they felt like their time on the task force was complete. We continue to seek representation from the Bureau of Developmental Disabilities. We have not yet been successful in recruiting someone from that organization. So if anybody has any connections there, we would be happy to have you connect us so that we have somebody from that agency.
Excuse me. They have to be from an agency or?
The tasks and the objectives of this group, the cross-system youth, we are looking for someone from that agency. Certainly we'll get to a little bit later about looking for folks with lived experience also. But yes, anybody with lived experience, but also someone who can help us in that policy realm.
What was the agency?
Bureau of Developmental and Disability Services, BDDS or BEADS.
DDARS or BEADS.
Yes, DDARS, BEADS.
Well, I'm sure that you then talked to the ARC.
Yeah.
We have not.
You have not?
We have not.
Good,
You
yeah.
have not talked to Kim Dotson? of
We
the
have
ARC?
not. Thank you. We will make a note of that.
I will ditto that.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. So glad we're here. Yes, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Judge Carmichael for the next couple of slides.
Wow, our work here is done. No, thank you.
Honestly, it is when you talk to her.
Okay.
It will
Thank
be
you.
when you talk to her.
All right. So as Nancy said, I'm Vicki Carmichael. I'm the judge in Clark Circuit Court number 4. And I heard Clark County earlier. Did I hear Clark County earlier? Hi. Okay. I just want to say first, thank you to Nancy, because the subcommittees that don't have a Nancy as their co-chair, I'm sorry, you can't have her. Okay, she's mine. All right. But anyway, so our strategic goal, as you know, is to improve the safety and outcomes of any youth who come in contact with our justice system. These are our 4 objectives. What we did is we review these objectives at every meeting, and then we formed subcommittees to follow those objectives. And so we have co-chairs of subcommittees who are meeting on the opposite months of our task force meeting to really dive deep into those objectives. And so these are the objectives set by you, the Children's Commission, from the strategic plan. And so we give our subcommittees the latitude to kind of look at different membership that they need that's not on the task force, but in other areas. And so they've recruited a lot of folks across the state that are helping in these specific areas. So objective number 1, as you know, is to provide appropriate services for victims of commercial sexual exploitation of children. Judge Kim Dowling, you heard from, as Mark said last month, and Senator, thank you for your work on this very important initiatives in the legislative session coming up, I believe, and we really appreciate that. One of the other things that I wanted this group to know is that every juvenile probation department in the state will have had the opportunity for training on the CSEC screening tool by the end of the year. There's 2 left, one December 14th, which is down in my neck of the woods, and then one on December 15th up in Lake County. And so every juvenile probation department is going to have access to screening tool, because unfortunately, a lot of these victims of trafficking end up in the probation department. They end up through the juvenile justice system. And so having the probation staff trained and able to do that is really important to get services offered early. The other thing is obviously 3.5, the CHIN's part of the statute. So I know that as Mark talked about, there is some movement, hopefully in that direction. Requiring appointment of the attorney for a child is important in this area specifically. In any CHIN's case, we appoint a guardian ad litem or a CASA, but in these kinds of cases, it's probably more important to have an attorney representing those children. And there's not a huge number of those petitions filed across the state. So I don't know that the fiscal impact would be huge, but I think it is important that an attorney be available for those children. Another area of focus of this committee is to add a requirement for the trauma-informed care, including training about the commercial sexual exploitation of children for nurses. I think Judge Dowling talked about that last month as well. And they did become aware, this subcommittee became aware of some funding through DMHA. So they're in the discussions about applying for that funding to develop that curriculum for training the trainers and having that specifically with juvenile detention center staff, because again, unfortunately, a lot of these victims come through that door first. Objective number 2, promoting family engagement in juvenile status offense cases. Tracy Fitz and Leah Pezzarossi are the co-chairs of this subcommittee. They are still working, developing really kind of definitions of status offenses to make sure everybody on the committee and on our task force is on the same page as to what does that mean and who are these children. So they are looking at also what is working across the state and in dealing with status offense cases. I know in Clark County, we're kind of modeling something that they do in Tippecanoe County, which is to not bring status offenders in through the detention center doors. Let's stop them before they get to the door. Let's give parents and families some resources and some guidelines. And so we're trying to see what works across the state and trying to mimic that and hopefully develop some statewide initiatives for status offenders.
Can we just say,
yes,
explain real quickly what a status offender is?
Yes, so a status offender is a juvenile who commits an act that only a juvenile can commit. So runaway, truancy, curfew violation, disobedience, those kinds of offenses. I teach at Ivy Tech and I tell my students, you don't have to come to class. I can't charge you with truancy because you're an adult. But a status offender is somebody who's required to go to school and doesn't. So then they're truancy. So they're those kinds of offenses. Yeah, sure. All right. Objective number 3 is to try to develop some kind of practice to support the development of children with incarcerated parents. Steve Balco from DOE, thank you. And Joe Weinecke from the Public Defender Commission are on that, are sub-chairs on that. And they are looking at some questions. They're trying to answer questions like, can DOC place parents close to their children? Are there parenting programs that can be offered at DOC for both fathers and mothers? Are there parenting programs in the DOC's youth division? Because unfortunately, a lot of the children in the youth division are also parents. Once they're released, are there programs in the community, either through community corrections or probation departments? Can services then be offered, such as other parenting programming, transportation, supervised visitation centers, things along those lines? So that subcommittee is working very hard trying to answer those questions.
Can I make a comment if
Yes,
I could?
absolutely.
So in St. Joe County, they have a 5-star curriculum. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's kind of like your small group at church, right? So what they do is they'll get the juvenile offender and their parents to interact with maybe 6 or 7 other families going through a same curriculum
nice.
together.
Okay.
And it's a 6-week program. It's pretty neat. But the
Okay.
neat thing about it is when the 6 weeks over, the parents want to know how they can stay
Stay
connected
together.
with that group.
Yeah.
And-
Okay.
and
5-star
help each other.
program
Yeah.
in St. Joe.
5-star
Okay.
curriculum. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Well, make a note of that too. Ooh, this is a good day. All right. Objective number 4, looking at the science of child and adolescent development. I always tell my college students, you know, you boys don't develop until 25 or later. Girls develop a little earlier. But looking at the science of that development, this subcommittee, Rebecca Humphrey and Janae Hanger, they're really delving into some data requests right now. They are looking about arrest of all youth by age, county, race, ethnicity, for felonies, misdemeanors, and status offenses. What is that? What does the data look like? And then obviously we need that to figure out what dispositions are imposed, who's being adjudicated, and then the age of the youth and the type of the offenses, because we want to develop appropriate practices in response to what offenses are children involved in. So I know Judge Kenworthy used to deal with juveniles on a regular basis. I still do. And I see a lot of marijuana possession, a lot of fights, a lot of disobedience. So I got a lot of status offenders too. So they're looking at what's going on across the state and what area do we really need to focus on. So I'm going to turn it back over to Nancy for the last couple slides.
So in addition to the formal work that's going on in the subcommittees to meet the objectives that we have been assigned, you might, if you have been members of the commission for a while, you might remember that in 2021, the commission adopted recommendations related to an objective under the previous strategic plan that was about increasing alternatives to detention for youth, such as shelter care, assessment centers, intake centers, and alternative therapeutic sessions. Yes, I'm seeing some nods. That's great. So our task force under that previous strategic plan had a subcommittee that worked on this, and you all adopted those recommendations. And we have some really persistent and committed members, and they said, what happened to those? And so we convened a group that we're calling the implementation committee to follow up on those. We're learning a lot in the process, and we're getting some help from Mark and from Blaine because we are trying to figure out how to help them in helping you, figuring out how to make sure that the things that you all adopt as recommendations are implemented. So I cannot say yet that those recommendations that were adopted in 2021 have been implemented, but we're working through that process and trying to see what needs to be done. Some of the recommendations were assigned to DCS, and there's been change there, both in the leadership of the divisions that were responsible for that, as well as some of the folks who were on the subcommittee. And so we're just kind of reconvening to say, you know, where are we on these things? The other thing that we are doing is we accomplished having one member who has lived experience. Mark connected with us with a young adult and who's been a great asset to the group. We are really grateful that she's joined us, but we need more because a lot of our subcommittees are like, hey, we need you on this, and hey, we need you on that. So we continue to look for folks who would like to be involved in the actual in the weeds kind of work that's being done on the Juvenile Justice and Cross-System Youth Task Force. I think that is it in closing. We just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to do the work, and we mean that. While some folks when things are assigned to them, they feel like it's one more thing, but Judge Carmichael and I are really excited about the objectives that you all have given to us, and we'll continue to work with our subcommittees to meet those objectives.
Sorry,
Comments? Go
I
ahead.
don't know if this is a Judge Carmichael question or not, but, and I know, I'm hearing rumors and stories about the mental health, and we're incarcerating a lot of kids because we don't have a place to put them. Are you feeling that same thing? Does the state need to do something different for kids that have mental health issues that we are incarcerating?
So the new juvenile competency statutes that went into effect July of last year, January of last year, I can't remember when exactly. I know across the state that I was told by Don Travis that the state had about 5 kids in competency restoration with mental health issues. 2 of those were from Clark County. So I'm seeing a lot of it. A lot of mental health needs with children and not a lot of local resources. I don't send those kids to the Department of Correction. The 2 that I have right now that are undergoing are obviously at Daymar and trying to undergo competency restoration there. I do have one young lady who is not going to be restored. And so the push now is from her council and from the state to do the civil commitment. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mental health issues among young children, and I don't know what the answer is. It's difficult. Department of Correction, I don't think is the answer. But I don't know that Department of Mental Health has enough resources either.
So I guess I don't think there's like a probate judges association in Indiana.
But there's a juvenile judges association.
Is there? Okay.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I guess hear some feedback from the association as a whole or a group, you know, because I just hear from one source sometimes, and I don't know if it's a state problem or just a local problem.
Okay, I believe it's probably a state problem.
So how do we correct?
I wish I had the answer.
Okay.
Have more beds at Department of Mental Health for children. I don't know. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Maybe you have an answer.
No, not an answer.
Darn.
I was going to actually just say specifically with objective number 1, we have a contingent of a public health workforce across the state that I would love to be trained and engaged in helping to know how to identify, refer children. They're out and about in people's communities and homes.
Yeah.
Also, as an ER physician, I'm connected to that community too. So I think that's another space. And maybe it's a train the trainer or whatever. So I would love to connect with you to help with that.
Great.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. That's
I'll
a
work
great
on it.
resource. Having both of those would really help that task force.
Thank you.
Thank you both ladies very much. Any other, no other comments? All right. Okay, moving on with mental health and substance abuse task force. Welcome. Love the tie.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me today. As this is a proposal for a new subcommittee, and this might be part of the answer to your question, Representative Devon, about what do we do? It's not a immediate fix, but I'm going to invite us to think about the earlier times when we might focus on mental health, and that's with infants and toddlers. You're already going like, what is he talking about? So I'm Steve Vieweg, and I am a social worker, licensed clinical social worker. I also have a credential you can see in there that I'm an endorsed provider. It's an infant early childhood mental health endorsed provider. So that's available to anybody in our state that touches kids in some ways. So it could be therapists, it could be early care education providers, Head Start providers, early interventionists. And that helps us have a competency-based way of claiming our knowledge and competence around social emotional development in young kids. So I like to think about this when we say infant mental health, like, what are you talking about, right? But it's about the kids. I want to start there. It's about the kids because it turns out there's a lot of them. There's a lot of kids in our state. About, 5%, 6%? Of the kids in our state are between birth and age 6. So it's a significant amount of the population. And there's like 80,000 kids born each year. So it's worth paying attention to that. So I enjoy thinking about what people's responses when they say, what do you do? And I say, well, I'm an infant mental health specialist, because they go like, what? What are you talking about? How does that work? So a definition might be infant mental health is directing our attention to the well-being of all infants and toddlers within the context of secure and nurturing relationships. So what does that look like? So a way I like to maybe make this come real is, so when a baby is born and we have a baby, what do they do? What do babies do?
Cry.
Cry. Why? Why do they cry?
They want attention.
They want attention. What else?
Or they're wet.
They're wet. Or someone said food.
Food.
What else? Maybe they want sleep, right? Or maybe they want to be left alone. Maybe they had enough of us. But babies are born what we call experience expectant. So they're born ready to engage in the world. And their way of engaging at first is to cry. And our job is to figure out what on earth you need. And what's happening in their brain is this architecture thing that goes on. So they get aroused, we come along and we help figure out what it is. And that creates a pathway in the brain. And so what's the baby learning from that experience?
And if he cries, he gets attention.
If I cry, I get my needs met, right? And as they get older, there's a lot of it morphs, right? It changes. And hopefully, as we begin to get better we learn as adults, think about if you had babies in your life, you begin to learn what the cry means. And so we get better at it. Okay. Oh, that's the hungry cry, or that's the change my diaper cry, or whatever the bid is. And the baby gets better at learning about how do I get my needs met. And they're learning a bunch of other things as well. A definition for infant early childhood mental health that was put out by a national organization called 0 to 3 way back in 2002 is the definition that people are still using today because it's still appropriate. And it talks about infant mental health as the child's developing capacity to do 3 things. One of those is form close and secure interpersonal relationships. So think that's what we're doing. A second is to experience, regulate, and express emotions. Super important to be able to feel what that is and know what to do. And so when people say to me, do babies really do they have mental health? Well, yeah, right? If we think about it in this way, we can understand that. And third is to explore the environment and learn. And all of that happens within the context of family, community, and cultural expectations. So that definition helps us think about what to do. And all of this is with the idea that, there's no such thing as a baby, right? So if you had the idea when I said infant mental health that it's a baby on a couch and we're going to do cognitive behavioral therapy, well, of course not. It's because babies are with caregivers. So it makes it more complex, and we have to figure out how do we support the baby and their family or whoever they're with. And that becomes super important because those caregivers, we got to pay attention to that, to their mental health, to their well-being, to their ability to care for that child. So when a kid has positive mental health, we would expect that they could do these things. And these are kind of small, so let's try to, but I want to point these out. So they can learn to identify and begin to understand their feelings. When they have positive mental health, they can begin to manage strong feelings and express them in appropriate ways. They can begin to manage impulses and behavior. They can learn to recognize feelings and cues in others. They can make friends, to get along with others. They can develop confidence, cooperativeness, and curiosity. And when you hear those kinds of skills, what does that sound like to you? Does it strike you? Does it strike anybody besides me as something interesting? It sounds like these are kinds of things that people would need to be successful in school and later on in jobs. Because I think about what employers want. What do employers want in their employees? They want people who are dependable, who show up. They want people who can take directions, to solve problems, to interact with others and be with the public, the very things that we are helping babies learn from birth. And I was reminded this morning about how important that is as I parked in the garage and walked over here and saw that we live in a state that works. It says so on the side of our building. So this is very important work that we're talking about here, about helping kids, and it starts at birth. And spoiler alert, I can tell you that there is evidence, there's a lot of evidence that would say for every $1 that we spend as a society supporting this early childhood piece, that we can save anywhere from $8 to $10 to $12 in later services, things like special education or remediation or prisons. So that's not a quick fix, but it's a certainly good return on our investment to think about what could we be doing at the earliest periods of a child's life. So there are some barriers to this. So we have put together through our Infant Early Childhood Mental Health Summit to look at what the available data is. And so you can't read this because the point is there's just so much data. But I want you to know that it's not just coming, it's coming out of like why we should be concerned. So there's some data that would say that, kids, we already heard some already. So this is a nice ending to the day of what you've been hearing about. You heard about the youth survey. So kids are having challenges. We heard about with the incarceration rates that kids have mental health issues. And so that includes younger kids and certainly their parents who are trying to parent these younger kids. There's a high level of mental health challenges that are going on. We have more than 1.1 million adult Hoosiers who are experiencing mental illness every year, and 56% of adult Hoosiers with mental health did not receive treatment in 2022. And that can cost us a lot of money. Mental health is a particular concern for infants and young children in low-income households. More than half of infants in low-income households live with a mother experiencing some form of depression. And think about if you're feeling depressed, what your ability is to care for your own child. You might have some challenges with that. So what could we do to help with that? Kids have to learn to experience, manage, and express a full range of emotions because we know that a certain percentage of kids are going to end up with some sort of diagnosis or developmental condition. That has stayed true for years. And in our own state, we have kids who are being reported as anxious or clingy, or that kids are being reported as sad. And have you ever seen a sad baby? Have you noticed that when you look at a child and you can see that they're sad, and doesn't that break your heart? Right? So what do we do? What do we do about that? And then we had behavior problems as the biggest challenge that's being reported by early care education providers who are very much struggling in our state. And we're doing a great job, I think, in our state to try to support those folks with as many resources as we can. But even a survey that was done to help get some sense of what they need, there's still a pretty high percentage of early care education childcare sites that are suspending or expelling students. which is alarming to me. Like, why would we kick out a kid in, when they're 3? Because they haven't done what they need to do. The question should be, what should we do? And there's still a percentage of folks who at least provided responses to that survey that think that suspension and expulsion is effective. Like, that's a good way to teach a kid to behave better. When I think maybe there might be some other things that we could do. And kids need some opportunities to explore their environments and learn. So we know we have a high rate of kids being referred to the Child Welfare Agency. And that particularly vulnerable is our very youngest kids who may be referred when we should be looking for other alternatives to help those families. We have families who are struggling to hold jobs, to pay rent, to have food, to be able to get transportation to where they go. These are things you know about, but that certainly impacts infants and toddlers. Families experiencing homelessness. We have kids between the ages of 4 and 5 months who slept less than the recommended appropriate hours for kids. And that has another impact on their ability to learn and to be with others. Some other data that we came up with. 70% of kids in our state have all available parents working. So that's a challenge. And of those in care, only 47% of kids are in programs that are rated quality level 3 or 4. So they may not be getting the best care that they can. And what can we do about that? And in fact, a lot of folks in our state live in what we would call a child care desert. There's just nothing available for them. And then even for those that need services, we have some challenges about when there are particular challenges that we could address that fit into the mental health range. What could we do? There are evidence-based treatments, but we have to continue to get the workforce ready to do that and be able to provide those services where kids are. We just have a shortage of providers, but that's not news either. And I want to say again that young children's well-being really does depend on caregiver well-being. It's a package, just to remind us. So our big dream has been for a long time that young kids and families could easily access the mental health supports wherever they are. That they wouldn't have to come to a big city, that they could get what they need where they are so they could stay in place and they could thrive and be successful where they want to be. So we wonder, how do we get there? What are the things that we do? So we've been working really hard. I say we collectively for many years now. There's been groups that are trying to impact this, trying to figure out what to do. Nationally, we're all trying to figure it out. So we created Infancy Onward, which is our infant mental health association for Indiana. It's affiliated with Mental Health America of Indiana, and it's affiliated with the World Association for Infant Mental Health. So the whole world is trying to figure this out. Like, what do we do? How do we make this work better? And we think we have to think broadly and think big. So we have to look at all areas of how this works: promotion, prevention, intervention. So how do we promote kids and families where they live, learn, and play to help so they could be successful? And how do we prevent some of these things so we don't end up with kids that have mental health issues and they're needing specialized services or they're ending up in jail? How do we avoid that? But when there are those concerns, what are some of the interventions? So that gets us to here we are, the subcommittee. And so some things that we could do. And I want to just highlight a couple things that have happened. We have had an infant early childhood mental health summit. We did that a year ago, and then in between, the state hosted a mental health summit. So we participated in that and shared some information. And then we had a follow-up summit just recently in October. And I'm delighted to say that we had Senator Mike Kreider come in the morning. He was able to share with folks about the Senate Bill 1 and some of his efforts. And good or bad, poor Senator Kreider is my representative. So I talk to him regularly about these young kids issues, and he's very committed to help us figure out what are some of the legislative actions that could be taken that help address some of these things that are doable. At the end of our day, we had Lieutenant Governor Crouch come and talk about, from the governor's standpoint, what what are some things that we could all be thinking about, and how, as I've heard some of you say today, how important it is that we reach out to our representatives and talk to them about what needs to be done. We collected a lot of data. I shared with a lot of you with here. I gave you at the end of this PowerPoint the resources where that all came from, but we know that we need to look at the data, see what it says, use that at our subcommittee level to see what it tells us and how we might move forward, and then find out what else we need to know. One survey piece that I did not include in here, but I'll share with you, is that one of our colleagues informally called every mental health center in our state as a mom of a 2-year-old who had behavioral issues and asked what she could do. And very sadly, the majority of those centers said, can't help you. They offered her nothing. Not even a referral to where else she could go. They just said, we don't do that. We don't serve kids under 6 or 5. Yeah, that's what my look was the same. Like, are you kidding? That's the answer. So that's something we have to work on. There were a couple of programs that did say, yes, we can help you. And they have some providers who are endorsed, or, so there are some mechanisms that we can work on for workforce development to get there, but that's a problem. So if we have people calling and they have nowhere to go, we have to fix that. And I hope our subcommittee can work on what are the ways that we get to that place, and how do we use the resources that we have pulled together. So that's part of expanding our current initiatives. I've already mentioned to you, Infancy Onward is the source in our state for education, but also for that endorsement. So folks that are working with kids would be able to create communities of practice that would have that group knowledge about when I could identify a child with a concern and get them connected to the resources and supports to help them and their family. The state's doing a lot so far, as I mentioned, to help early care education providers. For example, Spark Learning Lab is a source for Indiana, helping those providers with the things they need. If it's training, if it's education, it might be resources for mental health, how to do screening, et cetera, to help kids and families identify concerns and get together. The Ursay Institute is a new initiative through Indiana University that's focusing on mental health. And so there's an effort to make sure that they're paying attention to early childhood as well. And there are other things, or other initiatives going on. I mentioned there are evidence-based strategies. There are some treatments available that are very effective. They're just not widely available because that requires training, and it requires therapists that have that training and can make it available in communities. So how can we expand that? How can we build on the workforce? There's an effort going on through the CDC where they have identified a small program that's called the Mental Health Champion Project. So one of our colleagues, Katie Heron, through the Institute on Disability and Community in Bloomington, has that project. And so this year, the focus, even from CDC, said, we really want folks to focus on infant and early childhood. So that's an opportunity for us to bring people together. And that goes along with the CDC's other effort that's been going on for years, which is, in fact, I'm the CDC's Learn the Signs, Act Early ambassador to Indiana. It's a campaign of information about early childhood development for caregivers so they can learn about what kids do and when are they supposed to do it. And if they're not, how do I get connected to other resources? So, and I'm happy to serve as that ambassador, which means you could call me Ambassador Steve. That'd be appropriate. I wouldn't mind. Or Mr. Ambassador also works. We also hope through this committee to be better informed about what are the legislative actions that could be taken. We're therapists, we're folks that work with families. So sometimes we need some help around what are the things that could be done that would make a difference that makes sense? And so bottom line is we need to speak for the babies. The babies can't do it themselves. I'm glad we have youth representatives here, but I was imagining bringing a baby to see how that would work. But I think if we just do it this way, that would be better. So I thank you for your support in this. This is not something we can just try to do. We have to do it. We really have to do it. But I think there's a will, and there's lots of resource, and there's lots of opportunities. So I'm thrilled that we have this opportunity to come together and be part of a subcommittee and to bring this work and to partner together to figure out how do we do this? How do we make it better for kids and families, and ultimately
reduce some of the problems we see later, and save money is the whole goal. So there's lots of resources that are available to you. I just wanted you to know, again, that this is coming from a lot of information, a lot of research. There's been a lot of thought put into it. So if you need more of that, I'm always happy at any time to talk to somebody or to provide more information in a way that be helpful to you. So any questions?
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead. Senator.
So is there any linkage, again, I'm coming back to my unplanned teenage pregnancy, that shows that it sounds like impairment really can begin at a very young age. And so if you have a child raising a child, is there data that shows that it would be in the best interest to try to reduce those tendencies of children raising children because of the impact it has long-term on the child, the infant?
I would be happy to look for that to see if there have been some studies that would address that kind of question. But I think you're asking a good question about if, what does it take? And I heard somebody earlier just say that, development doesn't really finish till about age 25, sadly, right? And if I look at my own kids, I'm like, well, maybe 30. Is it's going to happen? I don't know. But it makes me wonder about the capacity and what does it take? And when we have young parents, what does it take to help support them so that they're able to understand? And I think we have some resources that can help. For example, the Learn the Science materials. So it's just learning about what do children do, but then how do I deal with it when they behave, and what does that mean to understand that? So I love your question, and I will have to look to see if there are some specific studies or inquiries to try to look at that particular question.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
Well, thank you.
All right, we have one more lady that would like to speak. Julia, would you like to come up to a Public Defender Council announcement? And got you a little extra time, so.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I also appreciate you calling me a lady. Here's just some information for for your purposes. I don't know that I printed out enough copies, so I apologize for that. Bernice Corley, our executive director at the Indiana Public Defender Council, wanted me to come and just give a very brief update on a very exciting opportunity that we have. We at the Public Defender Council have been partnered really closely with the National Association of Counsel for Children. And we have been working with them towards a child welfare law specialist program in Indiana. Indiana is one of 4 or 5 states that didn't have this specialty. For anyone that hasn't gone through the ridiculousness that is law school, there is a disciplinary, a rule of professional conduct that attorneys cannot hold themselves out as specialists, right? I am a specialist in that. I am really, really good at this. And now the NACC has worked with our Office of Admissions and Continuing Education. We will now be able to offer this child welfare law specialist program. Much like Indiana also has a family law specialist program. I believe elder law is also one that you can be specialized in. So what that means is that we'll be offering the first training to get this specialization with NACC. It is 8 90-minute sessions and then a 4-hour exam proctored by NACC in relationship with our Office of Admissions and Continuing Education. So we're really excited to come back in a few months. We'll be done with the program in about June-ish and give some statistics and hopeful outcomes. But we just wanted to let everybody know that we're going to be offering this. We're really excited about it.
Good. All right.
That's it.
Does anybody have any questions?
I actually do. So hopefully I'm waiting on I had my last interview actually 2 nights ago for the NACC, working on the legal right to counsel as a national bill. Are you guys going to be working? Because it's great that we're having like this certificate and education, but we still don't have the legal right to counsel for child welfare, every child.
So that's a whole, I mean, we can talk about that for hours, right? We understand at the Public Defender Council that this is coming, right? We need it. It's a national trend that Indiana is behind on. I myself and our council are very active in that conversation. I was in the meeting with Maggie, like a week and a half ago. We worked with Rachel and everybody last session. So we're active in the conversation. We can't continue to pretend it's not coming.
Yeah, well, I
right.
think that'll be an excellent collaboration.
Yeah, we're excited about constantly evolving and moving forward and following national trends no matter how late.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Well, thank you very much for your quick presentation. That is exciting, especially for the commission. All right, finally, we need to do one little bit of housekeeping. February 7th, we may not be able to be in this room. When we went to work the schedule, there was a little bit of conflict. And so I have been asked to check and see if the 5th on Monday, February 24, is a more doable option than Wednesday, 2024. So if you would check your calendars and get back with Mark, we're going to try to get a day in there a little bit more conducive to everyone's schedule. So please take a look at that. And I am extremely happy to say this is the end of my chairing term and we're handing it over to John after this. But it has been a pleasure to lead all of you. So have a wonderful Christmas season and we have a reception somewhere next door. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
We're all adjourned.